I am Sonji Branch, CEO of Communities and Schools of Memphis. And this summer, I had the opportunity to continue the work of the design committee with the Place Matters Memphis by working on the COVID-19 Summer Task Force. Over the course of approximately 8 to 12 weeks, we worked to identify ways by which we could best continue supporting our community through this COVID-19 crisis. Obviously, we learned a lot during the first few months of the pandemic in 2020, but what we also recognize is that there is still a need for additional investments in some of our most under-resourced communities. So over the course of our meetings, which were facilitated by staff members at the Community Foundation, we had an opportunity to review current COVID-19 statistical data that gave us insight on the areas in Memphis that were representative of the highest number of COVID cases. And more importantly, as the COVID-19 Delta variant began to kind of take precedence over the novel coronavirus, we also recognized that there was additional need for opportunity for awareness around vaccination efforts and, more importantly, vaccination campaigns. And so what we were able to do was identify some areas whereby which the Community Foundation could invest an additional $2.3 million for COVID relief. We understand that a lot of our young people have been disproportionately impacted by the results or by the consequences of the pandemic, particularly with mental health needs. And so we recognize that there's an opportunity for additional investment with mental health supports for students in grades K through 12. We also wanted to make sure that as we were thinking about investment opportunities for the Community Foundation and the COVID Relief Fund, that we did not miss an opportunity to connect with some of the smaller grassroots organizations that are literally on the ground doing the work, again, in some of our most under-resourced communities. And so we put out an all call, to organizations to help us identify who those leaders are, and particularly removing barriers to give them access or to improve access to these resources. Overall, our committee has provided some significant insight to the Community Foundation in guiding them with the structure that they will ultimately implement to help to ensure that additional resources are allocated or dispersed throughout the Memphis community for COVID relief. As our committee worked together to identify strategies for investment of additional resources into our community, I was always impressed by the resilience of so many of the voices that were elevated in this space, particularly the young people, as they were very thoughtful, intentional, and transparent in sharing their thoughts through the student surveys that they were administered through Shelby County Schools. It also spoke to the need for additional engagement of youth voice in all of the processes and the work that we're doing in Place Matters Memphis. And so I hope that as we continue to do this work, that we will be mindful of the importance and the value add of youth voice, and more importantly, finding creative ways and relevant ways to engage young people and their parents in the work that we're doing.